Welcome everybody to another show of Business Lunatics. Today we're short Rochelle, but that's all right. We've got Freddie D here, we've got Steve, and we're gonna focus in on artificial intelligence and start talking about a few things that I think businesses are missing when it comes to how do they really to use AI. I mean, it's been 2.5 years, and you'd be amazed at the number of businesses that are still stuck in this idea that they don't want to use it, they're fearful of it, or they feel like they want to wait it out. It might get better.
Well,
And
plus
of
there's new
course, none
stuff
of
that
this
gets
is
dropped
true.
every day. They're waiting for that right one to fall. That's never
Right,
going to happen. There's just going to be,
right.
whatever you have today is the worst it's ever going to be. Use it,
Hmm.
benefit from it.
Well, AI goes actually back longer than 2.5 years. And I didn't realize it till the big craze here's popped up recently, but indirectly, I was involved in it about 25 years ago.
Hmm.
I was director of worldwide sales and marketing for a manufacturing product called CamWorks. It still exists today. And it worked with a product called SolidWorks. So it was for engineering, and CamWorks was a manufacturing for milling machines and everything else. And we coined the term machining intelligence
Mm,
back in 1997
I
is
love
when
it.
we created the product packaging for it. And I still have all that information, so it's not stories. I actually have proof of it.
Right.
But what it did was based upon the geometric shape, because SolidWorks is a solid modeling design product. And so CamWorks would look at the geometric shape of, let's say I want to make a mold to make this coffee cup. And then it would decide based upon that geometric shape what tool paths and tool bits that it would need to use for the milling machine. So, you know, that we're talking 25 plus years ago, and today it's become mainstream because that was really in the beginning of it.
That
We
was,
really
yeah,
didn't
I
think of it
agree.
as AI back then. We just got it was a
50s.
cool name called machining intelligence. But
Hmm.
now when you look back, it really was early age stages of AI.
Think about
Well, I
automation.
mean, we could
Think
go
about it.
back to when it was called artificial neural networks, which goes back to the 1940s, actually.
Right.
And, through all of this technology, all this time, the changes that have taken place, we've essentially got to November 2022 when ChatGPT officially came to market. And
Right.
I
That's
think
when it
prior,
became widely
yeah.
used.
Exactly right. And I think that's the difference over here as far as what we're talking about and what's happened in the last 2.5 years since it became mainstream, right? Artificial neural networks and some of the things, Freddie, that you just mentioned, those were within
A
they
space within a market
yeah,
space, right?
within a market space, right? And so it wasn't widely used. But like Steve is saying, now here we are in the last 2.5 years, it's everywhere. It's crazy. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you
more
know, where you,
accessible to the general public and the general industries, unlike the bigger companies who had the access to it. Now anybody has access to it, and everybody has access to it. And
correct.
there's actually, if you think about automation, which is part of artificial intelligence before it became really intelligent, Ford Motor Company was using automation to like make their car lines and to
Hmm.
reproduce the same repetitive task over and over again. So, it's really been around a long time. It's just now that it's able
It's
to
gone
think.
mainstream.
Yeah, it's mainstream and it's able to think a little bit more. What kills me is the non adoption rate of
Correct.
people and CEOs and entrepreneurs. I will tell you, there's good, bad, and the ugly with everything. As an entrepreneur, some of us are, market leaders and we'll go try all the new stuff, and some people sit back and wait for us to fall down and get back up again, whatever. I've always been more of a forefront, trying the new technology. I was doing cloud in 2007 before we called it cloud. I owned a
Yeah.
company called Cloud Nation in 2010.
Yeah.
Literally Cloud Nation Inc. was our company, and we were doing virtual hosted desktops and servers in AWS with Citrix on the front end. So ahead of my time in that regard, but the reality is that AI is here. It's not going anywhere. What you use today is the worst it's ever going to be. And at least understand it. At least, play with it once a day, kind of get an understanding of what it can do for you. Leverage it like a thought partner. That's really the trick, I think.
Then the place to start, honestly, and I don't care if you use ChatGPT, you want to use Claude, you want to use Gemini, Copilot, take your pick. I think the place to start is go to ChatGPT, for example, and write a prompt, right? Because how you write that prompt changes the results you're going to get.
Well, some people
So
don't understand what a prompt is. A prompt is you
go
request
ahead.
to give you or to do something. For instance, list all companies with balances greater than $1,000 in the whatever industry. I mean, you're asking writing
Right.
something, or you could give it. There's three things: a role, context, and then an output. Those are three needed things for a good prompt. And the role,
Yeah.
you're an expert copywriter, you're an expert in blogs, whatever. I want you to write me a blog on AI in the workplace for veterinarian companies, whatever.
For
And
example.
it'll go out
Yeah.
and dig and it'll do that. And then its output, I want it to be in Word format so I can edit it, whatever. Or I want it to be in a
Exactly.
table format, however you want it. But that's what a prompt is. So just for those that don't know what.
I agree. No. I think that's important because it's not just about going to ChatGPT and asking a question. You need to understand how you're asking that question.
Mhm.
And the 3 points you just made, I think are right on, right on point basically. But repeat those three again, Steve. I think
You
that's
need to have
important.
a role. So what role it plays.
Yeah.
You need to have context, what it is in and around what you're trying to get in or out of it. And you need to have an output. You don't need to, but you'll
Yep.
get that's the best way to write a prompt. I'll give you a good
Yep.
example. There's something called the reverse prompt. Most people will go to ChatGPT. If I wanted to write a blog on a veterinarian company, I'm just using this for an example. I would say you're an expert blog writer, and I want you to write me a blog, and I'm going to give a context on a veterinarian company that services northern New Jersey. I'll pick up whatever you want to put in it, and it'll write you a blog, and it will be
Yep.
okay, and it won't be phenomenal, but it'll be better than maybe what you could have come up with, or maybe not. Or you could say, I want you to tell me who are the top three blog writers in the country or in the
Hmm.
world even, and list those top
Hmm.
three, and then give them to you. Then say, great, now with the knowledge of these top three blog writers, I want you to write me a blog using their collective knowledge and experience and expertise as blog experts. And I want you now to write me a blog on a veterinarian company in northern New Jersey. Your output is going to be so much greater because you're leveraging the
I
power
agree.
of the people that are the experts. Not, I'm not an expert, you know,
Right.
but those experts are experts, so why not let them help you?
Yeah.
And you're not
Right.
plagiarizing. You're just
Yeah,
going to
and the
start
other thing
writing
you
about
can,
your subject and using their expertise, if you will.
right, and then one of the things I found is that you get that result, and then you tell it to improve upon that.
Mhm.
And so now it takes it up to a whole nother level because now it gives you the
Yep.
first part and you can say, okay, now improve upon this. Here's a couple of my personal tweaks that I want to add to it. And it takes it up a whole nother
Yeah,
level.
iterate. We call it iterations in the biz. In the biz, iterate, 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 and then you finally get your product out. But there's some other things too. Like certain LLMs have different models. Like Perplexity is Perplexity. However, Perplexity has labs. And in labs, it's really going to do some deep, deep, deep research. Just like in
Yep.
ChatGPT, it has O3, which is a deep research model. It's not
Right.
going to give you an answer quickly, but man, it's going to give you some serious background. It's going to do a lot of digging. So know what the model that you're using, know the benefit of it. Because if you just want a quick response or a quick email written, or you just want to do a blog post, 4.1 or 4.5 or 4.0 is going to be just fine in ChatGPT, for instance.
I
Sure.
mean, but I think the core thing that we're talking about here is understanding how to write those prompts,
Mhm.
understanding to play around with the prompts a little bit.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the things you can do though is you can actually ask ChatGPT to write an
Oh
optimal
yeah.
prompt. So that's the really
Hmm.
cool part is people don't realize that you can ask the system, how would you
Yep.
write a prompt to do this kind of stuff. And so it comes up with it. You take a look at the content, you tweak it, put it back in there, and then you get the results and you say, okay, well, that's almost what I want. Modify it some more. And you can,
Right.
that's what I did for my podcast, where I put out all the show information. For
Mhm.
social media posts, I went with several iterations, kept
Yep.
improving it, and then it says, okay, I want these icons always to be consistent. So you gotta be,
Yeah.
it goes back to one of my sayings, to be terrific, you need to be specific. And if you're specific, you'll be terrific. And therefore, you need to be specific with what you're putting in, and it'll give you terrific information out. And so I always do it as, okay, now that I've got it figured out, I always want this icon, this verbiage, and it repeats it, and then it just keeps repeating it. And then now I just upload the the transcription of a podcast, and poof, it spits out all my social media stuff just the way I want it.
You could go one step further, and people hear about writing a GPT, which is nothing more than a set of instructions you're manually writing, but it'll do it automatically and remember it. So you can actually take what you're doing, go to create a GPT. So you just click on the left side in chat, GPT is on the right side at the top, you click
Hmm.
create. And then you can say to it and ask it what you want. I want you to create whatever it is you're looking to create for your podcast. Okay. You could then load the files or data in there as well. So it has it, unless that changes. If the data changes, a simple command of ask me for the data for me to ingest or to read or for
Hmm.
me or to be uploaded. And it'll ask you every time to upload the new data, and then you could go ahead and have it now where it's automated. You could test it right in there as well. It'll write it
Yep.
for you. You can test it, and then you can use it over and over and over and over and over again. And that's the benefit of one of the biggest benefits I see, and I teach people on using is how to automate your systems and your processes to free you up more time. Let it do the
Right.
And
mundane
these are,
garbage work.
and Steve, if I understand correctly, this is where the AI agents come into play and this idea of creating a workflow
Not even
using
the
AI.
agent. We're not even anywhere.
Okay. We're not even
Yeah,
near
right.
We're
there.
not even got to there. This is a simple prompt. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
just a way to repetitively do what you did and liked and get the results that you did and you were happy to get before, but do it over
Yeah.
and over and over again. And you can share them as well with
Right,
other
you can
people.
right, exactly. Yeah, no, it's for me, I found that it's now it saves me dramatic amounts of time because I take the transcription of the podcast and poof, I've got my content in less than a minute.
Exactly.
And it takes me more time to copy paste it into Go High Level to share it to all the social
Yeah,
sites
yeah.
than it gave me the data.
I've got one.
Exactly.
I got one from Jeff Woods, who wrote the AI Driven Leader book, really good book, and it's called the Thought Partner. And basically, the prompt goes something like this: Ask me three questions. Oh no, um, I want you to help me solve a problem I'm having, and ask me what the problem is, or the issue I'm having. Ask me what the issue is. And once I tell you what that is, or I answer you, I want you to ask me as many questions as necessary is one way to do it. I'd like to say 5 questions because otherwise it'll run on forever because
Yeah.
it's very inquisitive. It's got a big brain. I'd like you to ask me 5 questions on how I can solve this, how it might help me fix my company or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, right? And then say, if I say the word stop, go ahead and stop and give me a summary. Otherwise, whenever you're done, which is fine. But by having it ask you questions, it's going to ask you
It
things
changes
you didn't
everything. I
think
know.
of. And it's always
Yep.
going to ask you something new every single time. It's never going to be the same question.
Yep.
It's going to challenge you to give it the information it needs to help you come up with the right solution. So it's just called the thought partner prompt. Basically, I don't know the exact terminology for it, but CAI thought partner is what I
Something
call it.
else.
That's what my
Hey, Freddie,
GPT is called.
before we started the show, you were giving some examples on how you're using AI for the shows, right? I
Right.
mean, in terms of helping you, if I understand correctly, once the show's been recorded, what do you do with it afterwards, right?
Right. That's why I was mentioning I take the transcription of the
Hmm.
show, and then I've created the prompt where it creates me my LinkedIn messaging for the podcast. So when I actually share the podcast on LinkedIn, I've got all the information, the keywords, the tag words, and all that stuff in there. Same thing when I share it for Twitter and Blue Sky. as well as YouTube. It gives me all that information. So I use it to really for all my social media posts to share the podcast episode using the prompt. And I also use it for you know, brainstorming on different shows. And also, so I've
Yep.
created my own framework called the Superfans framework. And so what I've done now is I've incorporated and I wrote my own prompt to basically it asks me which letter of the Superfans framework that we're working on. And then it goes in and extracts the information out of that particular episode and then creates an insight for out of that episode in conjunction to the superfan framework letter. And then it creates, I came up with a 24-hour action step that you can do. And so I'm adding added value to the podcast is that now we have the episode, we have all the information, and then at the end, here's the main insight from that episode, and here's a 24-hour action step that you can do within the next 24 hours that will help you accomplish, you know, like let's say U is
Whatever.
for unify stakeholder synergy. So it'll be something that you can do to unify your stakeholders, and it'll be an action step.
You've
Do
created
you
a
use it at
process.
all for do you use it for any type of post-production video editing? Or
I use a different platform that helps me with that stuff, and it has
Mhm.
AI built into it.
Yeah.
So I use a product called Descript, and that in turn
I
transcribes
was
it.
gonna say that's the one, Descript.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
Descript.
transcribes it. It creates all the video shorts I can create with it and all that information. And then I use Captivate as my podcast distribution
Oh,
platform. And that also has AI built in, so that creates some of the contents and the keywords and all that stuff from the platform. So between the combination of all three, I have all my stuff produced very quickly.
They call
it's
that
crazy.
stacking. It's actually a term in AI when you're using
Stacking
more
or
than
stacking?
stacking,
Okay.
stacking.
Mhm.
For instance, if I want to create a presentation, I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll say, okay, I want you to, create a slide deck, and I'll give it the subject. I just did one on me doing a presentation at a networking group, and I gave it all the contents. And it created 8 slides. I then copied those slide cards, which are basically just like a PowerPoint card, each one. I copied those, I pasted them in the Gamma, and I said, create me, a presentation. And it creates graphics, it creates all the slides, all the words. I went and edited it. I mean, the whole thing top to bottom by just stacking those two together gave me a presentation in like 15 minutes with my edits. I changed the
All right.
pictures out real quick. I threw a couple prompts in to make some of the text a little bit longer. I said, nope, make this text a little shorter. Take this picture, slide it to the other side. Boom, done in like no
I
time.
mean, one of the ways that I use it, for example, I get invited to a variety of video cast podcasts out there. And sometimes I'm being asked to come up with the agenda, and so I need to send it to the host, right? And so one of the things I was able to do with the with ChatGPT is, aside from giving me an outline of what I'm going to talk about, it actually creates the questions for the host.
Mhm.
And so now I'm taking my outline and saying, here, this is what I'm going to talk about. But then, as the host is following me, here are some potential questions you can ask me as we're going through the show. And so from a content creation standpoint, I mean, I if I had to sit down and actually do this myself,
Yeah, take you
It's just, you know what?
hours,
It's not
hours.
working in your unique ability. People should do, I always say, what they're
exactly,
uniquely good at.
right.
And
I mean,
I hate getting
my
bogged
value
down
is
in all the
elsewhere.
bull crap. Yeah, not
And
my
the other
thing.
thing that I, I'm doing is, again, repurposing the podcast transcription is in my Superfans Growth Hub that I'm just repackaging before I start really
Mm,
marketing it heavily, is I'm creating what I call the podcast power notes. And so now it's a summary with up to 5 bullet points of that episode and then
right.
some action items. So again, there's more value, some repurposing value, but that's going to be inside the community so that you
Yep.
can either get a synopsis of the episode or you can click a link and go listen to the whole thing. But now it's here it is, and here's 5 bullet points that are the main highlights of that episode.
And that prompt could be as simple as take this transcript and give me the top 5 bullet points and highlight
Right.
the top 5 bullet
Exactly.
points for me to use as a summary in whatever medium.
Yeah, and that's pretty
Yep.
much what I did. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
when it comes to content creation, I can tell you, even within within my company, as a marketing agency, we do use it for content creation, in particular, as it relates to um, coming up with the ideas, right? Number one. Number two, drafting the content. Number three, coming up with the visuals for the content, whether it's a blog post or otherwise, and then turning around and taking all that, having a human being review it and doing the quality check on it before we publish. But guess what? In that scenario, we're able to 3x the amount of content we can do
Yep.
for the same budget for that client compared to where we were 3 years ago before ChatGPT went mainstream.
Sure.
I
Call
mean,
it
that's a
10,
huge
80,
difference.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
It's a
ten
good.
huge
percent
difference.
your idea,
Yeah,
80% let the AI help you do the bulk of the work, and 10% you need to humanize it and review it. Makes because let's be
I agree.
honest, LLMs are trained by humans. Some humans
Yep.
lie and they hallucinate. And guess what?
No
When
way. Really?
models, they hallucinate. Yeah, believe it or not, some schmucks are out there not telling
Good.
the truth. It is what it is.
Yep, yep, yep. I mean, so when we think about, different ways that we're using AI, like Freddie, you're talking about the fact that you're using it post-production to be able to do the social media, your blog posts, etc. I know that our team uses it to take, let's say, the blog post. Well, once we take the transcript and create a blog post in ChatGPT, for example, we then say, give us the HTML code for it. And then we copy paste the HTML directly into WordPress.
Yeah, and you're done.
And we're done. Okay.
Right.
I
All
love
the
it.
bolding is out of the way, the H2 tags are out of the way, the external links, the internal links, everything related to search engine optimization is wrapped up already. And take it one step further, then you can turn around and say, give me the schema code, which both Google and the search engine require, let alone the fact that the GPTs require too. Give me the schema code, so I put that script at the bottom of the blog post. All that is out of the way. It's a mundane, it's a routine task that you can knock out as quickly as possible. Like I was giving you an example now, we're able to 3x the amount of output because of the AI tools, which I will tell you that we wasted no time. We were in there very quickly back 2+ years ago.
And so
Yep.
what you're doing is you're actually providing more value to your customers
Great.
for the same amount of money that they're paying you, but they're getting more
Right.
more output, which in
Yeah.
turn is what I call you starting to create super fans out of those customers
More
because of the
bang for your
fact
Yeah.
buck.
that you're providing tremendous value for their investment.
No question. I
I
mean, listen,
actually,
if I had to charge the clients for the amount of work we do now compared to what we did prior to the
yeah, but it's
GPTs on the
easier to do it
market.
now, so it's fair in that
Yeah,
regard. It's fair.
Right.
exactly.
I am not a video guy. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not, I guess, talented in that way. But I've worked with HeyGen a lot, and I've gotten down to the point where I can produce a video, or I'll take my blog that I've written, and I'll put the content into a video in Avatar, and have it done and produced and published in, like, a half hour, which is
Right.
Yep.
good for me. And that's with editing the text. Um, and I use HeyGen because it's not only easy to use, but it has a ton of new avatars. You can even import your own avatars of you. I have a couple that I've done as well. And there, if you go on LinkedIn, just go to my feed, you'll see my avatars. But if you think
Mhm.
about something like this for a use case, the president of United Airlines gives a video voice message I heard just the other day, once a week to all his employees. Everybody gets the same voicemail message, which is great. What if he sent them a video message? Would it be a little more personal? Something a little
Yep.
nicer to be able to see the president of that big corporation talking to you? Or what if you had
Yeah.
people in a corporation in multiple languages? All I have to do is go to Google Translate, translate it from English to Spanish or German, or, it can be, doesn't matter, Hebrew, any language you want, paste it in, save it, and that person is now speaking in that language, and it looks real.
Right. Yeah, I've
Talking
played with
pretty
AJ.
real.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
I've
Yeah.
played
they've
with it.
really come a long way. And like I said, today's the worst it's ever going to be. It's just going to get better. But think about, a small guy like me, there's five of us. We're like this little
Yeah.
nothing company. And I can now produce what a large, huge company was producing that, would spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars on producing.
Sure. Well,
I think.
when people ask me about the podcast, how am I doing it? I says, well, there's
Mhm.
four of us working on it. Me, myself, and I, and my buddy AI.
That's a good one. I agree with you.
Yeah,
And
I
that's how
love
we're
it.
getting it done.
Yeah,
I love it.
I agree. I mean, one of the ways that I've used AI in addition to content creation, I've used it for analysis. And so
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
take, and I'm just throwing out an example. The simplest example is go to Google, Google Analytics, and then go into reports, go into audience, go into, the audience that do your set your date range, whatever you want, then export that file. Do the same thing for the engagement, so you know what pages are going to take those CSV files and dump them into ChatGPT or whichever one you want to use, and ask it to do the analysis, right? Now, you need to find a starting point for your prompt, obviously, right? So you're going to ask it here. You might want to start off slow, give it one of the CSV files first, have it to give you a summary of what it sees, what the results
So
look like,
tell it,
especially if you're doing
analyze this document and give me a
right.
summary. Be
And
like,
let's say over, especially when you're dealing with 12 months, then upload the next one as far as, let's say, the acquisition sources, or for that matter, the pages that people are going to. Do the same thing for all three of these. Then ask it to do the analysis across the three. And
Mhm.
so slowly build out its knowledge. And then you turn around and say, okay, well, what does this all mean at the end of this? How do you interpret this result? It's not about analyzing the result as much as how do I interpret it?
Hmm.
What do all these data points mean? Now, if you want to take it a step further, I've done this too. I've gone to Google Search Console for a client, pulled in the Search Console results in terms of, let's say, the keywords, the ranking positions over 12 months, or the where we're getting the most clicks and those types of things. Pull that into that scenario as well and run that analysis, then turn around and ask it to compare the Google Search Console to the Google Analytics, and then take a look at what those results tell you. In other words, the beauty of this process of these tools, the tool that we have, is being able to use it to manage information faster.
Hmm.
Beyond
Can
what
you
it was
imagine?
giving us
Yeah,
before.
I mean, can you imagine the amount of time I used to take
Oh,
to look at all these reports and try
days.
to come up with my own way of figuring out
Yeah.
what does it all
And you
mean?
can't break it. That's the best part. You can't break it. You can tell it anything you want. It's not going to blow
Yeah,
up. I
exactly.
got I
Right.
got one quick true story that this happened to me. I got hired to give a dysfunctions of a team workshop. Okay, so they hired me 4 hours. I'm gonna go in and give a presentation on, the five dysfunctions of a team and what to look out for and how to get along better, all that kind of stuff. So I never met these six executives yet, ever. And I had them fill out a questionnaire that I then took and I put into chat. I also had their six disc reports, which are static documents of like 30 something plus pages. And I'm like, how am I supposed to look through all these and figure out who's going to get along with who and why Susie likes this one? And they're both high D's and high I's, and how are they going to get along or whatever? So I loaded them into ChatGPT and I said, analyze this information based off I call them FTAs, first time appointment questionnaire. Like, what are your biggest problems? What are you stuck on? What do you want to start, stop, and keep in your organization? Who do you get along with? Who don't you get? Whatever. I asked all these questions. And I also loaded in all the disc reports. I was then able to pepper it with questions like who gets along and why. How come, fictitious names, Sue and Jane get along well when they both have the same disc scores, they should have a conflict or maybe complement each other. Which one is it? But I was
All
able to
right.
ask it all this information, and what I got back gave me such great information on who I was about to meet that I knew them already. I walked in, I said, "Oh, you must be Carol. Oh, you must be Sue." It was like really uncanny. You could tell who the real talkative one was. That was James.
Did you use Claude for this, or did you use some
I
other
used
tool too?
ChatGPT at the time. This was
Okay.
probably
Okay.
9 months ago. And
Yeah.
one of the things I'll tell everybody a little secret, you don't want to share your data. If you're using chat, click on your initials in the top right corner, then click on settings, then click on data controls on the left side and turn off share with the model. That's how you can stop the
Gotcha.
sharing of your data. So I
Right. Right.
wasn't really worried about it. Plus, I also redacted all the names and all the
Yeah.
information because I
I
figured
remember
better safe
somebody
than sorry.
gave me a very similar example of what you're suggesting, but they use Claude. In other words, they used AI from
Mhm.
to pull in the data from other sources. Then they went to Claude and then come up with, for lack of better words for this conversation, a personality review of
Yep.
the person that they were going to meet or
Mhm.
whatever that might look like. So
It-
I mean, there's multiple ways of using artificial intelligence nowadays. It really is.
Different LLMs
Um,
really are better for different things. However, that's starting to meld a little bit,
mhm.
like Perplexity, which is basically the I call the Google killer. It's searching and information without all the ads and advertisement, and it tells you the
Right.
source of where it got the information from. So if you want to fact check, Perplexity is it. But
Yeah.
Perplexity has now come out with some really cool tools. Anthropic is the name of the head company of Perplexity, Claude rather. But Perplexity came out with some really cool tools. Like they have the labs now, which allows you to dig deep. They also have another one. It's antiques, or I forget what it's called, but maybe it's something like way back when, like archaeology days, just something way back. I
Yeah,
forget what
historical
it's called.
stuff.
Yeah, anthropic type thing, whatever, historical information, but it really has some pretty cool tools and things like Claude now writes applications. I mean, like easy.
Yep.
You could go in and say,
Right.
I'd like you to
Mhm.
write me this and a couple prompts, and boom, there's a functioning app. And then it'll allow you to publish it where other people can actually see it and use it on the web.
Yep.
And that's just
I
going to
mean,
get better and better.
and it is going to get better. And I mean, where was ChatGPT
Artifacts.
two and a
That's the
half
name.
years ago compared to
Sorry.
where we are today, right? Um,
It was
but there's the other
Artifacts. That
side.
was the name I wanted to say. I couldn't remember.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Senior moment.
And then there's the other side of the equation is things to avoid, mistakes to make, right? Or not make, I should say. So, Steve, you're probably more familiar with this. Is my
OMG.
understanding is don't say thank you,
Well, what people don't realize, that's a very good point, and it's such a simple, minute thing.
right?
We're taught to be polite, but it
Yep,
uses what's called a
exactly.
GPU, and GPUs are basically it's CPU power. Okay, and it's just
Yeah,
you're using up GPUs when you are polite to it, or when you say thank you and please and all this kind of stuff, and have a great day. Then it's got to generate a response to. That's what it's taught to do. That's using up more GPUs. So you want to be efficient. It doesn't have any feelings. You can say, "Do this right now." That's it. That's all you got to say. Or goodbye. Talk to you later. Have a good day, whatever. But you really want to be careful about overutilizing GPUs by,
and
well,
so
thank you. Could you
hang on a
please?
second
And what
though.
do you
I
think?
Right, and so I've got a counterpoint to this, and my counterpoint is this. Yeah, I agree with you. We're using GPUs, we're using energy, we're using
Hours.
the cooling systems, the powers, everything that's related to running the large language models and everything else and everything associated with them. But what I'm also suggesting is, if I understand correctly, AI is learning.
Right.
AI is able to analyze personalities for us. We just talked about that, right? As far as the people that you're going to meet. Um, AI is learning. And the question is, if we avoid saying thank you, if we avoid being polite, what does that do to the
It don't
AI's
care.
learning
It does.
capability? You're
It
saying
does
it
not
doesn't care.
care. No, I'll tell you, this is a true story. When I first started really, 2 years ago, utilizing AI, and I would say, I want you to think deep, okay,
Mhm.
which made it dig deeper into its response because it's programmed to answer fast. It's programmed to give you what you want,
Right.
and we all want it now.
I
So
agree.
you got to say, dig deep, and that would slow it down. You don't have to do that anymore. You automatically just use the right one, reasoning, which is O3, and it'll dig deep, for you
Yeah.
automatically. But that was something that, we used to have to tell it. Now we don't have to, and it could care less if I tell it to dig deep or to go jump off a bridge. It would say, well, I really can't jump off a bridge. Okay, well, go to a bridge, go jump off a bridge anyway, whatever. But
Yeah, I have a
really,
strange feeling, and we're gonna move that this is gonna turn differently down the road.
I don't know.
Oh,
I
I would
don't.
agree because there's times where I've used it and all of a sudden it's not coming back. And it was thinking that it was almost like a human because I had given it some tasks to do, and it says, "Okay, I'll get back to you within a few hours to do this thing." And all of a sudden, I'm realizing it's stuck. It's not doing it
Paid
because it
version or
can't
not
do it.
paid version? I'm curious. Paid or
I paid.
on the
I,
paid version? Yeah,
yeah,
sometimes if like it's heavy load, busy, it'll say stuff like that. You have to
Yeah,
buy some time.
it'll automatically pause, and I've seen that happen on my end as well. And I got the
I mean,
paid
they may
version
be out
too.
to get you. I can't say that paranoia is not real.
Yeah,
What do I know? But I don't think that was it. Typically, it's just the computers because it's zeros and ones. It basically only knows what it's taught. It only
yeah.
it does no emotion. It can do reasoning based off of the information it knows, but it can't think outside the box of that information, where we as humans
Well,
can think
you-
outside the box of, what we know.
and you bring up an interesting point when we talk about Grok, right? I mean, Grok has been in the news here in the last, whatever, a week or 2 weeks
I,
in
right.
terms of how it was interpreting authoritarian regimes or individuals versus Hitler versus whatever. And don't quote me on this, but my understanding is that Elon Musk and his team went into Grok and literally made programming changes so that the results were different,
oh yeah.
Right.
right? I
But
mean,
again,
I didn't
so
misunderstand that part, right?
That goes back to
they're
where
all
that was back where you
trained.
said that, garbage in, garbage out. So,
Yeah,
So that's a good point right there on mistakes, garbage in, garbage out, not having clean data.
right.
That's a
yeah, I
mistake
agree.
people have, and they put garbage in and they wonder why they get horrible outputs.
Yeah, yeah,
Other
yeah.
big mistakes that they have is what I call AI sprawl. They haven't set up any
Mhm.
kind of usage policies or guardrails, and people are
Right, right,
willingly
right.
loading and using AI in your enterprise. And either it's on their personal devices or it's on their desktop, and nobody seems to care or want to know. Oh, I can't see you. La la la. You're not. Believe me, they're doing it. And you really need to get governance and ethics and guardrails set up within your organization. People aren't doing it. A lot of executives are basically like scared to death for whatever reason. They don't want to step on it. They don't want to get near it. Or you know what? La la la, I can't hear you, but you better listen because it's not going anywhere. It's just going to be more and more prevalent. And if you're not doing it, your competitors are. And they're
Oh,
going
absolutely. You
to
can be
jump
left
all
behind.
over you.
You can be left
Yep.
behind. You're going to wonder what happened.
You're already left behind if you're not
Yeah.
into it now. You're already behind, so you better
Sure.
start catching up.
I know.
Start pedaling real quick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No
But
question
just
about
do it
it.
with a strategic mindset. Do it with thought
Mhm.
process behind it. Don't just throw AI at a problem. Find out what's the source of your problem. Find out how AI, and I say this all the time. I think in AI, and what I really mean by that is I think, how can AI help me? What can AI do for me to make my life easier? That's how I think in AI. I don't think
Yep.
like a machine in zeros and ones and knowledge like that. I think, how can this tool work for me to make my life better, faster, in some cases, less expensive, cut my cost of goods, cheaper, whatever. But how can I leverage it that way? And I would say right now, AI won't take your job. I can promise you that. A, hu-
No, it won't.
a human who knows
Honestly.
AI, but this is true. A human who knows AI and is good at it will.
Right.
So everybody
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
should
the
upskill themselves, really.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at the
I
end of the
mean,
day, I think the spirit factor just needs to just go by the wayside. It's
Oh,
just
I
a
agree, but
bad
people
idea.
are
yeah,
still scared because they don't understand it.
Yeah.
What's the first thing as humans we do? We don't understand something, we fear it.
sure.
That's
Yep.
just not necessary.
And yeah,
The one
and
more
my
thing I want to
suggestion
just
is,
add
yeah, go
is
ahead. Go
that
ahead.
um, one of the tools that it can be utilized for very efficiently and effectively is really understanding what your competitors are doing from a marketing perspective. So
Very true.
Yeah.
you can tell it
Yeah.
to go analyze your top three competitors, what's their digital marketing approach and everything else,
Yeah.
and it will tell you here's where it's at. And then how do I rank compared to these guys? Because I use it to compare myself to some of the top podcasts. And what is it that I
Yeah.
need to do to level up to get to that playing field? And it comes back and says,
Yeah.
well, you need to do this. And that's where I came up with some of these things that I'm
Yeah.
adding in there to play at a higher level. And had I not done that, I wouldn't know what to do.
I have
Well,
this I have a
yeah.
product I use on LinkedIn. It's called humantic.ai. And what
Oh
it
yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
does, it's
Mhm.
a really cool app and it's not that expensive. It actually reads the person's profile, goes out and does research on them for you. Will tell you
Yeah.
how to speak to them. It does a disc assessment based off of their information. Will tell you how to speak to them, the way that they like to be spoken to, how well they what they respond well to. It'll help you write an email customized to them on whatever subject. It'll tell you the way that if you're going to cold call them, how you should look to treat them and talk to them. If you're going to like email them, all this information that's all public legal information. It's right there for the understanding. But how many of us don't take the time to do that?
Right.
And that's really the competitive advantage is thinking in
Yep.
AI, like, how can I have it help me be better, faster? The
Yep.
$6 million
No
man,
question about it.
Steve
I
Harvey.
agree.
Oh,
Yep.
Guys, let's start to wrap up. Let's finish up with our key takeaways from today. Freddie, why don't you start?
Well, biggest takeaway is leveraging the AI as an asset and think of it as an assistant to help you get things done effectively, efficiently, and quickly.
mhm.
Steve.
I'm gonna just reiterate the role, the context, and the output. Three simple things for a prompt. Don't be afraid. Go to GPT and create, and then just tell it that, hey, write me a prompt that does this. Whatever it is you're looking to have that prompt do for you, and it'll ask you all the questions to help you write an amazing prompt.
I'm going to say AI doesn't replace strategy,
No.
it multiplies it.
Ah, awesome.
Nice one. Good one.
I like that one.
Good
So
one.
true. So true.
Good one, right?
All right, we'll end on that
I
one.
mean, all right. And with that, guys, it was great to be talking about AI today. It was good to have the business lunatics figure out how to use this tool for businesses. Tune in again in a week, and we'll have our next show. Hopefully, Rochelle will be able to join us, and we'll have all four of us chatting together. With that, good to good
See
to
you
be
next
with
time.
everybody. See you next time on Business Lunatics.
Thank you.